Now that you've learned how to conduct and score the assessment, and how to use the adopter survey, and communicate with adopters, let's see how using these pieces together makes great matches. We'll look at 2 adoption scenarios, one in which the adopter and the cat match, and one in which there are some potential challenges.
Meet Your Match is a compatibility scale, which means that almost every adopter and cat have something in common. It's best to start with the positive by looking at where they're compatible and then go from there. This will help you and the adopter navigate through the challenges.
Find your copy of Roger's adopter survey and the completed assessment for Maisie, the cat you scored earlier in the do-it-yourself portion of this DVD. Take a minute to score Roger's survey. What felineality is Roger most compatible with? Roger is most compatible with a leader of the band, like Maisie.
Let's take a close look at how the information in the assessment and the information Roger provided match up. Notice Roger said that his cat needs to be able to adjust to new situations quickly. During Maisie's data card period, Maisie displayed a variety of valiant behaviors, including eating her food on the first day. Roger wants a cat to be by his side all of the time. During the call and approach assessment, Maisie had a large number of gregarious responses. In addition, in her greeting approach, she solicited attention and meowed and blinked.
Even the best matches might have some areas where they don't match up perfectly. How can we present that information to the adopter in the best way so that they have the right expectations about how this particular cat will fit into their lifestyle?
One example of where Maisie and Roger are not perfectly compatible is that Roger wants a cat who enjoys being held some of the time. We saw in Maisie's hug item, she accepts the hug and was a bit tense.
Notice how the adoption counselor presents this information for discussion and uses an open-ended question.
It looks like you're interested in having a cat in your family that does enjoy being held some of the time. And when we were doing Maisie's assessment, she demonstrated that she enjoys being held less of the time, and she's a very active and playful cat. So how will you feel about having a cat that you can't hold all of the time and only likes to be held some of the time?
Roger thinks he and Maisie are a great match and decides he'd like to adopt her. He spends a little more time talking with the adoption counselor about Maisie's needs, makes a quick stop in the shelter store to pick up one of Maisie's favorite toys, and then he and his family, which now includes Maisie, are on their way. While most of the time adopters do find a cat within their color category that they'd like to adopt, there are times when an adopter falls in love with a cat outside of their color category.
This doesn't mean they won't be a good fit, but we do want to use our counseling skills to help the adopter learn as much about the cat as possible. Our goal is to help the adopter best decide if they think this particular cat can fit into their lifestyle.
Imagine Roger never came to the shelter to adopt a cat, and instead Maria did, and she met Maisie. Get out your copy of Maria's adopter survey and take a minute to score it. Maria is most compatible with an orange cat, specifically a sidekick.
Let's start with how Maria and Maisie are compatible. Even though Maria is orange, she also indicated in question 4 of her survey that she's fine with a boisterous cat who gets into everything. We know Maisie will fill that expectation. Maria would also like a cat that often likes playing with toys. That's Maisie for sure.
Because Maria is most compatible with a sidekick and Maisie is a leader of the band, there are some areas where they're not as compatible.
In question 8 of her survey, Maria indicates she wants a cat who will be by her side some of the time. We know from Maisie's independent gregarious responses in her novel space and call and approach items, and in her data card social responses, that she's a very gregarious cat and will likely want to be by Maria's side all of the time.
Listen as the adoption counselor discusses this with Maria using an ascending tone of voice and replacing the word but with and.
Maria, Maisie is a cat that's going to like to be by your side all of the time.
Right.
And I noticed in your survey you had indicated you'd like to have a cat that's by your side some of the time.
Right.
So I thought we could talk today a little bit about how we can meet your needs and Maisie's.
That'd be great.
Excellent.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Finally, let's take a look at Maria's response to question 16. This question can often help adopters refocus on what's most important to them.
Maria indicated that it is most important to her that her cat be happy. This might mean that she's flexible when it comes to which cat she adopts, so long as she has the information she needs to provide a loving home where the cat will be comfortable and happy. Thanks to the information the adoption counselor shared from Maisie's Felineality assessment, Maria has clear expectations, and she decides that between her and her 2 children, Maisie is likely to get her gregarious needs met.
As you can see, The colors don't have to match for a cat to find the right home. The right home is the home where she will be loved and appreciated for who she is.
The Felineality assessment gives us a wealth of information to use during the counseling process. Likewise, the adopter survey provides us with information about how the adopter envisions their new cat in their home. This helps us focus on relevant information specific to this potential match. It's not our job to make the decision for the adopters. It is our job to give them the right information to help them make their own educated decisions.